Mayor Wells, thank you for joining us. I tell you, I'm just hearing so much from our Border Patrol sources. You heard from the Border Patrol Union President Brandon Judd just in the last hour about the really surge that's happening, particularly in the San Diego County area. Have you been to the border? Have you seen this up close and personal? I saw a report out there that in San Diego sector, they had apprehensions from over 73 countries in a 1-week span.
Yeah, no, in the last month, we've seen 4,000 people from China apprehended. We've seen 100,000 people in the past 4 months come over across the border unvetted. And what's happening is as Texas and Arizona kind of tightens up their grip on trying to keep their border secure, the migrants are like water and they flow to the area of least resistance. And the cartels are really in charge. They're very smart, they're sophisticated, and they know that when one area tightens up, you just shift to the other area and they can get them through. And obviously, California has no interest in stopping migration.
Mayor Wells, is El Cajon a sanctuary city? Is San Diego County sanctuary? And you know, as we look at what's happening in New York, the migrants that were beating the cop, the acting ICE director, Patrick Lechleitner, we had an exclusive interview with him. I sat down with him Thursday afternoon, and he tells me, hey, those migrants on the body cam footage beating the cops, had New York not been a sanctuary city, they could have handed them over. What is your situation out there?
Well, we have never been a sanctuary city. In fact, we've stood up actively not to be a sanctuary city. But unfortunately, we're one of the few conservative cities in the San Diego area and, frankly, in California. And most of California has welcomed migrants, and most cities have called themselves sanctuary cities. What you're seeing happen in New York is a fear that I think is going to happen all over the country over and over again. And it's going to escalate with every month that passes, because no matter what the federal government wants to tell us, or our local Congressperson Sarah Jacobs wants to tell us, there are a lot of people coming over. We have no idea who they are, and it stands to reason that many of them will be criminals. I was down at the border a few weeks ago, and I came across an encampment of 120 Chinese migrants. What really bothered me was that there were no women and there were no children in this group, all just young men. And, you have to ask yourself, why are they here? So I think we're going to see more of this.
Well, that's a good point. And, my own Border Patrol sources tell me that there are concerns. And by the way, there have been briefings from CBP officials to lawmakers, I know at least on the House side in the past year, warning about, with all so many Chinese migrants coming across, particularly as you mentioned, those men, that they could have potential ties to the Chinese Communist Party, or even worse. I want to just stick for a second, though, on that sanctuary city thing, because the acting director, Patrick Lechleitner, told me that these sanctuary cities are actually quite more dangerous for specific reasons. Listen here.
The sanctuary jurisdictions are inherently more unsafe because they're letting these individuals out who have, very serious convictions at times and are public safety threats, if not national security threats. It is a concern, and I'm very baffled by it.
Lechleitner also went on to say, Mayor Wells, that the migrant communities themselves are at the greatest risk, because when these individuals are released, they return, many of them violent criminals, to the communities of which you have a lot of migrants, and many of them won't call the police because they're not here legally.
Oh, absolutely. This is a perfect situation for the migrants to continue to be preyed upon by other migrants that are more criminal in nature. I mean, they were preyed upon the entire way coming through Central America and through Mexico to get to the border. Rape is a common thing. Assault and murder is a common thing. And now they're in America, and they still don't really have much protection because they're not allowed to call the police like other Americans would be, because they're going to be murdered if they even try to do anything like that. So it's an amazing lawless situation.
Mr. Wells, we're just running out of time. I just wanted to ask you, because yesterday, all day, I was reporting on the Somali terrorist who was roaming free for a year after given a false name. He was roaming the country. ICE was able to get him nearly a year later after he had given his real name to get some government benefits, and it triggered the the terror watch list. ICE was able to, hats off to them, get them in 48 hours. But my question to you quickly is, how concerned are you that we will see something like a terrorist attack in the country if things aren't brought under control at the border?
I don't think concern begins to cover it. I think any thinking person realizes that the threat is already here. It's not in the future. The people that are going to do us harm are here. The question is how much harm, how significant it is, how organized it is going to be. This is an unbelievable invasion of people that many of them wish us harm from countries around the world that now are even more stoked in their anger and hatred for America. And you have to ask yourselves, will they act individually or will there be instructions from their governments to cause more mayhem? And I think what we're going to probably see is a combination of both.
Sobering thought. El Cajon Mayor Bill Wells, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.